Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show you how I made this shirt. It is a raglan sleeve shirt. You're going to need your basic bodice pattern. This is as basic as it can be. What I have here is just the chest line, which I used to get the armhole, and then the length. I'm using a length of 24 inches. Alright, so for the neck width I used 4 inches. For the neck depth of the front I used 3.75, and for the neck depth of the back I used 1 inch. Please subscribe to my channel and also please drop a comment while you're watching. I'd like to know what you think about it. Let's get to it. So the first thing you need to do is to get a new paper. The paper should be as long as the length of your sleeve. Place your basic bodice pattern on it, shoulder to shoulder. Now you get the length of your sleeve. I want the total length of my sleeve to be 24 inches, but I'm going to put a band of 2 inches. So 24 minus 2, I have 22 inches. Now I'm going to measure 22 inches downward from here. Ensure it is a straight line. Alright, now you're going to take the measurement of your neckline. For the front, I have about 6.25 inches. Now divide that into 3. That's about 2.1. Now I'll measure and mark 2.1 inch downward on the front neckline. On the back neckline as well, measure it. I have about 4.5. I'll divide that by 3. Okay, that should be about 1.75. Now I'll measure 1.75. So for the front, you connect it to the end of the armhole, and for the back, you connect it to the end of the armhole. Like this. Just so you know, I did not add any seam allowance on my pattern, okay? Now, for the back as well, do the same thing. Okay, now this is what I have. So from this mark to this mark, trace it out this way. After that, you get your tracing wheel and then you trace out these 2 lines. Alright, if you do not have a tracing wheel, cut it out and leave it on the fabric. When you do this, ensure to write it. This is the front. Remember, I removed the front pattern from this side, and this is the back. Okay, so this will be the front sleeve and the back sleeve. Now I can put my main patterns aside, and then we work on the sleeve. Measure your wrists. Because I'm using a stretchy fabric, I'll measure my wrist from here. My wrist is about 8 inches, so that's 8 divided by 2. I have 4, so I measure 4 on both sides of this line. From the shoulder, measure to the elbow. I have 12 inches. So looking at the pattern, this is the shoulder line, alright? Not this one. This is the neckline and this is the shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, you measure down your shoulder to elbow. And then round my elbow, I have about 13 inches, which is 6.5 inches on both sides. This is just as a guide. If you don't want to do all of this, you can just draw a straight line from here to here and from here to here. So just like we do for our sleeves normally, I'm going to curve this place inward a little, and from there I'll draw a straight line to meet my wrist. And as you know, if you have any curved parts, please just blend it in. And here is my sleeve. This is the front. Remember, this is the back. So by the time you're cutting, you should also note that. Before you cut it out, you can cut it with the paper or you can trace it out. And that was what I wanted to do initially with the tracing wheel. Remove this. Now I'm going to cut this out. So guys, this is my sleeve. All right, the next thing we have to do is to cut it on the fabric. I'll be using these two fabrics. This is going to be for the bodice and this is going to be for the sleeve. When you're cutting, you should cut 0.5 inch as seam allowance all around. Fold your fabric into two. So guys, because I do not want to overlock my seams, I'll be using this pinking shears. All right. This is the front part of the sleeve. All right, front part, and this is also the front part. Okay, so I'll mark the wrong side of the fabric so that when I'm sewing, I know what I'm sewing. This is the wrong side of the fabric. Okay, this is the front pattern. This is the back pattern. So guys, to sew it, you take one sleeve first, one sleeve at a time. Like I said, this is the front part of the sleeve and this is the front pattern as well. So I'll place it this way. After pinning the front part of the sleeve to the front pattern, open it up like this, and then you bring the back pattern and pin it to the back part of the sleeve. I hope you understand. Like this. Lest I forget, please ensure that the seam allowance that you put on the sleeve is the same as what you put on the main fabric, so that you won't have excess and feel you made a mistake. Now I'm going to sew it 0.5 inch, 0.5 inch. Okay, for this side as well, I'll do the same thing. Get the front part of the sleeve, which is here, right sides facing, and place it. Then you can open it up like this, and then you bring the back pattern, which is this, and put it on the back part of the sleeve. Okay, so this is what I'm going to have after sewing. This is the back and this is the front. Okay guys, so I have sewn it. Now place it together like this, right sides facing, and then you pin it and sew the sides from the sleeve straight down to the hem. After that, you're going to cut a collar for the neckline and a band for the sleeve as well. So guys, after sewing, this is what I have. So what you just have to do is to open up all the seam allowances and then you press it down. Now for the sleeve, measure what you have. Here I have 4 inches minus the seam allowance. I have 4 inches. I have cut this fabric. This fabric is 8 inches by 6 inches. Now, first, I'm going to fold it along the length, right sides facing like this, and sew with a 0.5 inch seam allowance. The second one as well, sew with a 0.5 inch seam allowance, right sides facing. So by the time I'm done sewing, I'm going to have 3.5 inches. For the neckline, you have to measure what you have from the center front to the center back. I have 11 inches. That will be 22 inches in total, right? 11 times 2, that is 22. Now here I have the fabric that is 19 inches long. So I deducted 3 inches from the 22 inches. That is 19 inches by 3 inches, okay? So Fold it as well, right sides facing, and then you sew here with a 0.5 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'll do that for both the band and the neck collar. So guys, after sewing it, fold it into two and iron it. Okay, ensure that you open all the seam allowances. Okay, so guys, I've ironed it. This is the right side of my fabric. Here's the cuff. Now, here's what I'm going to do. You see the seam, this is the seam, and this is the seam as well. Just put your hand through, put the sleeve inside and turn it like this, and then you match the seam. Make sure you stretch the band so that it can accommodate the width of the sleeve, okay? And you sew, okay, with a 0.5 inch seam allowance. For the other sleeve, you do the same thing. First, to match it, the seam is on this side and the seam is on this side. So you put your hands through like this. And then you turn this over. Okay, so you sew round with a 0.5 inch seam allowance. Now for the neck, let me show you the inside. If you look at this, you see that I have ironed out all the seams, okay? So you have to do this first before you fix the collar. Now here's what you're going to do. You get the mid front and the mid back. This is the mid front, and for the mid back, you do the same. Now for the collar, here this seam could be you could put it on the side or at the back. I'll put it at the back, at the center back. So now I have the mid front and the mid back. Match the mid back to this seam like this. And the mid front as well, I'll match it. Okay, so after doing that, you're going to adjust every other thing such that it will fit into the collar. Remember that the collar is shorter, so you have to stretch the neckline so that it can fit into the collar. And then you sew with a 0.5 inch seam allowance all around as well. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Please like, share, subscribe, and also please drop a comment. I would like to read from you. Till we see again next time, take care of yourself. Bye.